what do we know so far? Apparently, Starfield takes place 300-ish years from now. Features the last space explorers and explores profound questions. And so Bethesda's director Todd Howard gave some interviews to the Washington Post and the Telegraph. So he says the game is set 300-ish years in the future. The team has taken pains to map out what happens every decade between now and then in their timeline. So
that's interesting.
Well, I would honestly expect nothing less from them. They are into the deep world building, So that's I'm glad they're going that deep with it. He says we start with the world and questions like what do they eat, what do they write with, how do they order their books, and we want to know what all the buttons do on the complicated control panel shown in the trailer. So there's reasoning behind everything, right? So even if we don't push any of those buttons during gameplay, someone has thought about how it's all laid out, which is cool. I mean, it is really cool. So let's see what else. Apparently, there's going to be some heady themes from the game beyond simple exploration and/or conquest. When you look up in the sky, there's this drive to know what is out there. Are we alone? What are the origins of space and time and all of those things? What role does religion play in some of that as well? So we do get into some big questions. I think a game like this is a good place to do that. That sounds really awesome to me. I love games that deal with those themes and deal with them in a well-rounded way, rather than just a very flat surface way that shows they didn't actually do any thinking about it. So that's really good. So, sounds fantastic. It really does sound fantastic. I'm keeping a cap on the hype because, again, don't want to go through that again. So, we'll go through the trailer and some of the concept art in just a sec. Saib has several things he wants to point to.
The first thing I want to start is what Todd Howard has also been saying this week, and that is that one of their primary goals that they have right now is bringing back in a lot of the harder, more complex RPG mechanics that have been in some of their older games. And, when you played, you go back 3 iterations of Elder Scrolls, and it was a very hard, very complex, very deep role-playing game. Skyrim is not really that. I mean, not without mods. And even then, I mean, the growth of your character, the min-maxing of abilities to kind of create your own character or create your character in the world is extremely, limited is I don't know, it's like to say it's limited is in comparison is quite, that's quite the understatement. It is ridiculously limited. You just don't have the same oomph with your character and creation and all that kind of stuff that you have with other games. So, yeah, not quite the same thing, not quite that same direction. But apparently they're stepping back towards that. And this is one of the things that I'm worried about. I am worried about this because he's mentioning this now. And are we going to see this, come out now, or is it going to be coming out and is it going to be a travesty? I don't know. Well, this time will tell with this.
I mean, there's just, again, I guess I'm having some of those negative flashbacks again, because what was another game recently that was promising to be a deep RPG that just kind of crapped the bed on that?
Well, I mean, at this point, they don't really have, they have to make this work.
Yes, so. I think, and I mean, granted, there are a lot of different. I doubt they're going to be rebooting this in 3 months and bringing in Keanu Reeves and totally changing it up in that kind of a way. Like, I don't think they're going to approach it that way. All right, so what else did you want to talk about as far as info we can glean from the images we've seen, etc.?
We might as well go with the screenshots first, because the screenshots are really like they're where we're going to get most of the data from. So.
Okay, so this is first one, which you called Starfield main characters. Likely these are the main characters, yeah. Let's see some detailed art of the faces, etc., and a robot of some kind in the bottom right. Looks like it's
this is their like cover for the thing.
Mm-hmm. You've titled this one Starfield Megatropolis. So yes, big city.
Oh yeah, big city in the distance. We don't know if you get more than one ship. The ship looks like a fighter, so it'll be interesting. Do I think they're going to have dogfights in space? I really doubt it. I mean, they would have had to pull some absolutely next gen stuff with this engine. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I really don't. I really don't believe it.
Maybe. I mean, if there are fights in space, maybe it's more tactical rather than like an X-Wing style game where you're just, blasting. But yeah, anyway, yeah, the city, I mean, it does look really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, big, huge city. And I don't know, should we talk? No, we'll save my theories to the end. So, okay. Yeah, that's just, it's just a fancy world. Looks cool. Interesting. Yeah.
So here's some sort of
sulfur pits.
Yeah, it looks, some sort of like desolate planet or asteroid or something. Some creatures living on here.
This is proof that we've got monsters or aliens or whatever you want to call this.
Some kind of creatures.
We're going to be fighting a lot of scary looking things.
This thing looks really, really neat.
Ooh.
Some sort of a station or town built on the ocean.
Yep. I mean, this is a pretty small, well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a small city, but it's like, it's obviously a fairly contained city.
Well, you compare it to the size of the boats. It's not huge. It's not huge.
Kind of looks like a party stadium hub, entertainment hub or something.
Some rich guy's house. That's what it is.
Yeah, some guy's house.
These locales better look as good as because again, if I show up in the main city of Whiterun and I can see 15 NPCs tops, and there's like 10 houses there, I'm gonna be slightly annoyed. I mean, not a lot, but extremely.
Games have come a long way in.
I hope so.
10 years since Skyrim came out. I mean, of course, you remember when Skyrim first came out, and it was like, whoa, this is massive.
No, that was it was huge. But they've had some really cool, really advanced stuff before, and again, I really hope that it's good.
This looks like, this just looks like Star Wars here, but
this is where I think most of our time is going to be spent, is in these like explorer outer rim planets with very small, like, shantily built towns. And and again, I have a theory about why the universe is like this, so I'll get back to it. I'll get back to that once we swim around.
Okay. Nice sort of planetary shot. So, looks really cool. Not a ton we can glean from this, I don't think so, but some kind of a jungle biome, some kind of a jungle environment.
Mm-hmm. I would like to explore this.
So that's some of the screenshots that people have pulled from this into the Starfield video that has, I mean, a lot more images you can see here. Some of them are just like shots of the moon, like, I don't know, or a moon. Looks like our moon. Some behind the scenes stuff, some models. There's that picture we were just looking at. People wearing masks and playing violins. Motion capture. Blah, blah, blah. And then, join up with our constellation program and get the latest news as it happens. But, I mean, so what more do we want to say about this?
So here's my theory on the game. After listening to Todd Howard's chatting about it and kind of stuff. I think the human race is basically like they've gone out to the stars, but they've only gone out to the stars to a particular point. And then most people just got distracted with like full dive tech. They're not interested in exploring anymore because they got all this fancy tech and they don't need to. And that's what this small group is. This small group of people are actually pushing out there to explore, to discover, to find answers to questions. So yeah, so that's kind of like my theory on like why isn't like why are these people exploring with really junky ships? Like everything looks beat up, like it looks old. But we see these pictures of these like really fancy planets, and they've got lots of cool stuff there. And I think it boils down to the fact that, look, we've discovered everything that we need to discover. We're comfortable, so we're not moving out. We're not expanding outward. And I really got that theme as he was talking about it. So that's kind of my theory about the game. There's tons of stuff, though. There's lots of like Easter eggs in the stuff. That star object that we saw is not what we think it was. Was not what the space station looking thing that we saw in the original teaser seems to be kind of at the center part of the story. It seems to be a place or a thing that people are trying to find, and it may or may not be linked to certain disappearances of explorers. And maybe this is why the main character is out there exploring. Maybe they're looking for someone.